we
$1
doing
million
here?
just off of all the years that I stayed healthy. Never had to go to the doctor
How
because I'm going
are
to the gym every
we
morning at 4 or 5 in
doing
the morning.
here?
I'm doing all the things. I'm taking my walks. I get my
A
20,000
little
steps in a
worried
day,
that
and I'm doing these things. Everybody, let me know if you
we don't have
have
internet
a
here.
HSA and consider a plan that has it if your current health
Which is
and
not
medical
great.
plan don't have it. Okay,
It's
the
okay.
Roth IRA. Look at this. The Roth IRA is
The
a
chat
limit
is
of
ready to
7,000
display
for this year,
messages.
8,000 if
Do
you are
note
over the
that.
age of 50. Okay, you have no income
So
restrictions if you are doing a backdoor Roth IRA. So some of you may say, Coach,
that's cool.
what if you make more than the allowable limit? Okay, so if you ever are coming up against that, I want you guys to consider the backdoor
All
Roth
right.
IRA. Okay, this allows you to do the
Let's
same
get
exact
going
maxing out at
here.
the limit that you're available based on your age, but then over and beyond that,
Okay. So it's whatever it is, it's Thursday. Lemonade, gold, and Reddit. We're just going to cut this down to two videos here. And then path, rocket, and gosh, maybe wow, lemonade is pumping. What are we looking for right now for an energy stock? Maybe we shouldn't be so limiting with the whole energy stock thing. What do you think, chat? What stock do you want to buy? Okay. Is this still in play for an ad? Holy McMoly. That thing needs to close, so I'm going to ignore that. All this stuff is red. What's going on here? Market's not red. Oh, I see it did go down a little bit. The daily. Okay, and what about stuff that's moving a lot? We can also just look at what's going up a lot. Just sort of like a gotcha. But I don't like that because it's just one day. So what I really want is like, change over the last like 5 days. And let's do that. Because one day, is not enough. Give this 10 seconds to load. And we do have to check on the old thumb. So we'll update that for you. It's still loading. Still loading. for like 10 seconds here. This is ridiculous. Oh, I'm seeing some flickering of numbers here. So we'll let that go. Should work. It's definitely flickering. But is it going to update? Yeah, so the numbers are showing up ever so slowly. It's incredible. Almost get rid of this column. ADR column we can just get rid of if that helps. Does that help? Doesn't seem like it. Can't believe I'm looking at shorts, but here I am. Grab, PPAI, open. This seems really wrong. Change as a percent of the ADR. Percent change as a percent of the average daily range. Well, no, I don't think it's wrong. Lift definitely went down. Let's see what we got going on here. Rivian failed. New, it's holding up now, but okay. Well, we'll let that load. Although I don't think it's loading. I think there's some sort of error. That's what's frustrating. The software is challenging, to say the least. I'll let that be, I guess. I don't know what to do. Huh. Well, let's just get going. $1,000 into these 3 stocks could surpass your full-time job. Not a financial advisor, but these stocks, I'll give them to you right now. Lemonade, ticker symbol LMND. Gold, the gold ETF, ticker symbol GLD. And Path, ticker symbol PATH. UiPath are setting up right now. Lemonade is an insurance tech company, so they do marketing automation to connect customers with insurers. Gold is gold, so gold is a store of safe value. Safe haven, on the back of FOMC, we got the 25 basis points cut as expected. Market whipsawed a little bit, held up, so that's all good. And UiPath is a recent IPO that has a lot of AI connections. So let's jump into these 3 tickers and what the market's doing as a whole. Now is a very important time heading into the end of the year. There will be some tax loss harvesting, but we're not there yet. So no need to be a bear when the market's going up.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 So here is Reddit, which I didn't mention. It's actually also interesting over this left side peak. But I don't want to talk about it because, don't worry, I won't talk about this for long, but it sort of is basing. So it's not really the most beautiful setup for new buyers. If you're in from earlier, this is obviously ideal, but I'm not sure that was particularly predictable. Maybe this little inside day was. Of course, this was sort of a flag opportunity as well, but right now it's hard to say. Lemonade, though, is in the conversation, and this one's tricky. We'll do some fundamentals, really just to humor everybody, but don't worry, we'll look at the charts as well. So Lemonade probably looks the best. Gold is an ETF, so that's not even going to show up here. So actually what I'll just do here, oh no, it is. Okay. So it's the gold trust. There's other ways to buy gold, obviously through your computer. This one I think is, well, it's definitely the most liquid, and it also looks, well, it tracks gold futures the best. So we'll look at that. And then also Path is this recent IPO. This is Lemonade. They're in the property and casualty insurance bucket. Those have been looked at favorably by long-term investors. I'm not saying that this is a long-term investment. It's still basically a startup, even though it's a multi-billion-dollar company. Those can go hand in hand for sure in recent years. This is Path. They help with tools to deploy AI automations. So they're a software company serving Fortune 500 companies. And they probably have some sort of GUI. They have UI in their name. Graphical user interface is GUI. And they're basically providing a layer between applications and the GPUs. So they also are offering applications as well. The build, manage, run, measure, automation. So that can be logs for basically all these white collar workers. If you have a data warehouse, you can figure out what people are working on. You can visualize the data that gets collected through these $1 million surveys that these big Fortune 500 companies do. But all you really need to know is that they recently had earnings. They're holding up. Their earnings per share beat. And we can look at the guidance. We can look at the revenue beat and the verticals that they had a beat in revenue. But most notably is there was a move up after earnings, a close, and we're holding right over that close. So it looks like this is a pretty favorable spot to grab some Path. It's a little bit, it's not perfect. So let's look at this level right here. So this is going to get nitty gritty. I'm just warning you. 1850 is that level. You can see that right here, just about here. And, over here, the levels aren't going to be held perfectly. But if we look in the last day or so, it came down, it tested slightly below that level. It broke down below pre-market. And now it looks like it's sort of holding. So you can risk 20 cents to make $2 pretty clearly here. Even though it's a slow moving stock, well, this is not right. But if we look over here, moving 7% on a daily basis. And that takes into account these big moves. If we look back over here, these moves of 2%, 3% are kind of what you expect the stock to do. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth jumping in a stock that moves a few percent a day? Or is there a better vehicle for your money that's also safer, right? So a faster vehicle that's safer. And the jury's sort of out on that one. I mean, if we look at some other ones, Guardian Health moves 5% a day, over the last 10 days anyway, which includes these big moves. This is like 10%. So sometimes these earnings reactions look safe, right? If you get in, this is the high volume day. It's actually here. So this is an after hours, and then this is the close. It held that level. It stayed up. And if you bought here, you had to wait a full month to get 20% or more, but you're also not dealing with anything unsafe. So these are the trade-offs you make. There are, of course, faster moving stocks, but let's say you jump in here, you're immediately down 20-30%. That's obviously not that interesting. This is this robotics stock. KTTA is a I get these confused, actually. Yeah, the KTTA is the biotech stock that recently has been moving significantly. And it's great. It had a big move, but it's just going sideways. So you don't want to be stuck in this either, especially as liquidity dried up. So I'm not saying there's no good options. I'm giving you the good options. I think Path is a good option. I'm just trying to compare and contrast to where else it might seem like a good idea to put your money. And NVIDIA is not doing anything. So that's not that interesting. Even if you were able to get in here, you got less than 10%. AMD also not super interesting, trailing off last few days. So there have been big moves. There was GSAT recently as a flag that's still holding up. There was Frog as a flag still holding up. And there was the big one, GEV, recently. But this wasn't easy. It looks pretty easy now, but I mean, it looked like it might turn up before earnings. And then it looks like it, well, here as well, this was a higher low that failed. So there were a couple spots here. This was months ago. But this thing really got wrecked by the market. You can see the market in the background. That was the end of September. We had a few days down. And then, of course, 10/10 day was horrible for the markets. So earnings didn't help that either. So it wasn't until the markets moved up that this started to go up. So that's kind of the backdrop for how we end up with a stock like Path. That I'm not hating on this company. There's a clear level up here as well to buy above. But it is a little bit not exciting, right? Buying an earnings reaction that drifts up, drifts down. And now it's sort of like the first retest of this high volume. There's the high volume close. There's the close. So that's where high volume close comes from. Now, I'll get to Lemonade. I'll get to gold as well. But I do think that you just have to wait for these candles to close. Everyone's talking about PL right now. PL having earnings, but also this is in the same sort of SpaceX bucket. So they're launching satellites and all the space companies are going crazy. ASTS continuing up after this level off. So the SpaceX going public in their multi-trillion or whatever trillion IPO only happened within the past few days. So that's why DXYZ really rocketed the past few days. Even Lunar, the laggard, is moving up. Maybe there was some rumors that led that move to happen earlier. I mean, GSAT as well. But these were not super, super predictable. Besides GSAT, looked great. And PL, you have to see this close. I mean, it's so strong, it could come back all the way to 16.5 here. So you can't just buy, in my opinion, super strong earnings reactions right after open. I mean, maybe that's your thing. Maybe this one will work great. It looks super strong. But it's not always a prescription for greatness to see an earnings reaction like that. Microsoft might not be the best example, just because it didn't look as strong. But in general, it just makes things easier if you let an earnings candle close. We might be able to see one that's a little bit of a better example here. But in this Q3, there's just been some rough earnings in general. NVIDIA, let's see if that can give a little more insight here. Kind of, I mean, if you do get in after hours, right after that earnings, and it looks super strong. If you remember at the time, everyone thought, oh, NVIDIA earnings blew out, the market's going to rip. This was not long ago, less than a month ago, and then it just dumped the next day. So this was November 19th. And if we look at the SPY on November 19th, that was a pretty important moment. And then it just ripped down the next day. Of course, we ripped right back up. But it just goes to show the market is not moving directly on NVIDIA. NVIDIA going down the last few days. I know up here. And the market as a whole down last few days. So it definitely plays a role. But most recently, if we just look super granular here, we'll do a 5-day chart or even 10 days. I know this is probably hurting people's brains watching this, but the last few days, this went up, down, a little down, and then down here. And if we look at the market, not at all the same, right? So this is purely FOMC, the 25 basis point cut was expected, didn't move the market much. It happened at 2 p.m. So that's the rip. It did move initially, but gave it all back and then coming back. So what happened here was Oracle at earnings, and Oracle dragged the whole market down. So we really have to be careful to, and I know this is boring, but look at rankings of stocks based on market cap and how they affect the market rather than the story stocks, because NVIDIA is the biggest stock. It's a $4 trillion market cap, but look how high Oracle is here. It's somehow I'm not seeing it on this list, which is making me go crazy, but it's within the top 10 market caps in the world. I know Oracle is, and it literally dragged down the market. So 99% of the time it's on this list. I think I might have a little bit of a average daily range filter that is filtering the stock out right now. But look at the market cap for Oracle. Everyone's been hating on Oracle because their margin was not so great on their GPUs. Yeah, it's a $500 million company. So it should be right here. It's big enough where it's a boring company that can completely affect the entire market, which includes your positions. If you're in a Reddit, it definitely whipsawed Reddit down, So you don't need me to tell you that it's not easy to predict or see what's going to happen in the market. But what I can do is give you ideas. And I think Lemonade is definitely a great idea. It's been for a few days, it's been playing with people. But similar to GSAT and similar to Frog, it's got a flag, right? And these are big companies, so these flags actually break out. And then if we look at a 10-day chart, you could look at the daily chart and say, when was this interesting? It's definitely interesting here, right? Super tight day here. Although you never totally want to buy after 4 green days in a row. So I don't know about that. But this day was definitely exciting. And so was the yesterday. But what happened here was, this was fine. Definitely played along. But yesterday, this was at 12 o'clock and this got yanked down, which is completely unrelated to the market. Nothing happened here. So this will play with you. This is why you have to have stops, and it doesn't look like much, but on a percentage basis, 79 to 74, that's definitely a few percent or more, depending on where you're able to get out, as much as 6%, which is pretty rough. So, 500K position, 500K portfolio, 50K position, 5% down. That is $2,500 loss right there yesterday. So maybe this one you could have expected that this would not break out, but this one definitely played with folks a little bit. And today as well played with folks a little bit, but in a different way everyone talks about. And you bear with me. Let me know in the comments if you like these detailed explanations of the price action. But by the opening range break, it's like, great, he did. He got dumped on. And depending on how quickly you got in, it's tempting to wait for confirmation, right? It's such a fine line. It's like, it's going up, but I don't know, reverse. Oh, here's confirmation. I'll get in here. And then all of a sudden a break-even stop. Well, a break-even stop got hit here, so you would have actually stopped out. So it's not easy, but it looks strong today. We'll see what happens. That's lemonade. As far as gold, gold futures is what we're basically looking at trade here, right? And there's a level of price agreement. It's above this rejection here, 4220, 4200, whatever. And then it held that as support, it looked like. So still had some fake outs though. This is not the prettiest way to look at a chart because you can't see after hours because it's futures, it trades all the time. But what you can see is this was 2 p.m. yesterday, so that was the FOMC rip and then the Oracle fall. So it's reverberating around the market, except now gold is going up. And then if we look at the SPY, we are rebounding, but initially we sold off. So gold itself didn't really sell off. It just sort of moved up. Now, is it going to continue to dislocate from the market? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm just saying that it's at a favorable spot. And it seems like today might be the day. It really has to get over this 392. It rejected here 392, just about 391. But if you wait for that to happen, you're kind of waiting for the volume already to come in. With GEV, do you want to get on this day, which is not much volume, or do you want to get on this day, right, which it's already coming back and could stop some people out depending on when they got in. So I like the cheat setups personally to get in a little bit early. And this last stock we've talked about pretty extensively, Path. We'll see if it plays with people or what, but the high volume close level being right here at, I don't know the exact number, but maybe 18.5 is what I've been using as a number. It did play with folks a little bit here, testing 1830 a little below and then moving up. This is significant. This is 7% or more before rolling over. So wouldn't have gotten your 10% here. This is not 10, but it's giving another test here, and it tested yesterday below 1850 in after hours and a little bit in regular hours too. So we'll see what happens. It doesn't look super strong here, but you can also look at that as you could take a position here, risk low of day, and you're only risking 20 cents to look for a move of $2 or more. So this is going to be heavily dependent on the market. I'm not here to tell you exactly what it's going to do one way or the other, but a little bit of relative weakness to the market right now. So there's a clear level, clear risk reward, probably 20% chance of this working. But if it does work, the risk reward could be more than 1 to 10, which means that 20% chance, 1 to 5, 1 in 5, gets paid back more than double. In my opinion, those are the odds I'm putting on that. And as far as what's doing what, there are some big moves to look at. I don't really look at stocks as far as what moved recently, because, for example, this is a pharma company, right? This is probably fundamental news that might be a game-changing event, but you really have to know what you're looking at for that. P-Lab is an earnings company, so there is a high volume close here to play off of if this is in your wheelhouse. This is a semi stock. And then Warby Parker is a retail stock that's had a big move already. Can't really play this, in my opinion. It's up too much, but this is a way basically to see what's been moving recently. Warner Brothers on the Netflix acquisition, another pharma couple stocks, banks, regional banks are moving significantly, KRE, but earnings, stocks, earnings reactions. This is basically how to scan based on what's moving. So that's one kind of scan that could work for you. These optical companies you don't want to touch. And then if you just look at, well, the watch list you have, which I think is a little bit more instructive rather than just what's moved a lot recently. The memory names are definitely interesting. And the top watch list watch is, for me, SanDisk. So that's a lot of names for you. The main ones: Lemonade, ticker symbol LMND, Gold, ticker symbol GLD, that's an ETF, and Path, ticker symbol PATH, UiPath. If you like getting these ideas, hit that like button. If you want a free course on how to find the next NVIDIA without gambling on startups, hit that subscribe. And if you want to join the Discord and see these decisions made in real time, as well as the analysis in live recordings, head over to stockscommunity.com. Give that a shot.
Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
All right. What do we got going on here? So, a little motivation.
You can put in more. So some of those limits, look at this. Max out your regular 401k contributions, whether it's $23,500 or $31,000 of your employer match first, then contribute the remaining amount as after-tax dollars to your 401k and convert those into a Roth, okay? That is otherwise known as a backdoor Roth or Roth IRA conversion for you to make more than that threshold, okay? And for everybody else, if you make, say you make under 200K, you make sure you max out your regular Roth IRA, the one we all have or that we did have, okay? How much debt do you have? And that's what I want you guys to assess. That's number 3. How much debt do you have? You need to know this number. You need to know going into 2026, what are some of the big things you have that you can begin to tackle, okay? And then what can be paid off or what can be paid down is what I want you to think about going into 2026, okay? Because I always say, people ask me to come speak, come on podcasts, come do panel discussions. And when I'm talking about wealth, I tell them the secret sauce for me was being debt free. The secret sauce for me was being debt free.
Okay.
Everybody overlook my journey when I first thing I say out my mouth is I retired.
Lemonade, Golden Path, And then let's get this one as well. December 15th. It's Monday. So Rocket. Probably PL. And then maybe Cipher. It's hard to say.
At 30 years old, because I became debt free. That set the stage for everything flows from me being debt free. All this philanthropy, all this giving back, all these acts of kindness I'm able to do all over the world and bless all these people is because I'm debt free. And I avoided lifestyle creep. I avoided lifestyle inflation. I don't keep up with the Joneses. I look every single day at who I can be a blessing to. I don't use my money to try to front, stunt, and belittle people. And so I'm able to do that because, number one, I'm debt free. And on top of that, I'm financial savvy and I'm a financial savant and I have and know what to do with my wealth. Okay. Just showing you guys a little bit of game. Okay. Number 4, you need to know the total.
Okay. Okay. There's a lot of stocks on this list. Not all of them are super interesting. Spaghetti looks not so great. I don't love this Baba. That's for sure.
Value of your assets. Okay, this will be everything from your house. How much is your house worth? Go on Zillow, look up some of those sites that can show you what a quick appraisal of your house will be. How much is your house? How much did you pay on it? How much do you have remaining to pay? How much equity is in it? Your stocks, your
This thing is holding in here for sure. Okay. Let's look at this one. This one is definitely moving up. Getting wrecked a little bit. Maybe Baidu. Baidu, BTU. I don't want anything crypto related. Tesla doesn't look great. Alta doesn't look great. Baidu, BTU, Rocket. I don't know about these big failures in Rocket. Baidu, BTU, Rocket. I guess. Okay. We don't really have any recent news for any of these except for earnings, but see if we can do that without even looking up the actual stocks. The revenue is not helpful anyway. So. This one stock can change early buyers' lives. The company is BTU, Peabody Energy, ticker symbol BTU. They had solid earnings. They're holding up right now, and it looks like this stock's about to break out. There are two other companies, not in energy, that are also interesting. One of them is Baidu. Baidu is the Chinese Google. China and US tensions are always present, but that doesn't really affect the price of this stock. Their cloud segment's super strong. And there's another company with the rate cuts, FOMC just happening yesterday, a 25 basis point cut as expected happened. Ticker symbol RKT. The company is Rocket Mortgage. This company is super strong, and rate cuts do help lending, although it's dubious as to how much they actually help when that rate cut was already priced in. So it's a startup. It's definitely a stock to be early to. And let's jump into these three companies right now.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 So someone just mentioned Oracle as well, and Oracle maybe, drag the market down. It could be interesting if you're that kind of buyer. I purposefully pulled it off the screen just because I don't want people to be too excited about it personally, because I don't think buying a dip is a great idea. I mean, you can see the effect this company had on the market. If you look at an intraday chart, this is significant. That's the SPY, and that's Oracle earnings right there. So lines right up. If you do have other ideas, go ahead and drop those in the chat. You can drop them right here. They do show up on the screen. But I do want to make sure that we talk to the best ideas, in my opinion, right now. BTU being the big one. I said Baidu, not Baba. It's a big difference. Baidu, the Chinese Google, holding up here. You can see what I'm seeing, right? Higher low, some tight days. And then Rocket Mortgage as well. Doesn't hurt to have that rate cut narrative. A little concerned about these failed breakouts. They're not really breakouts, but these wicks the past couple of days. So big move up, sold off, big move up, sold off. This was with the market, the earnings. This was FOMC. So I guess I'm not too concerned. It's just in the morning, this was uncorrelated to the market yesterday. So market didn't do anything, and Rocket did. So we'll see what happens. Little failure today as well. So what it is doing is it's giving you favorable spots to get in as it comes out. So that's sort of the play here for Rocket Mortgage. Get in here around 19, risk like 1875. And you don't have to be super random with your entries. If you get in here, maybe you risk something super safe like yesterday's open at 19 even. So you're risking 30 cents to try to make $3. So that's the play there. And then as far as BTU, this one is definitely interesting, but you have to be a little bit careful with your entries as well. So if we look over here, this is what we've got on an intraday chart. And 5-day chart looks like this, got some strength here. So you can risk yesterday's open, but you have to be aware of what the market's doing. There can be significant whipsaws here on an intraday basis. And to give an example of that, I mean, look at what Reddit just did. Pretty yucky here. So looks like that's going to be a loser, which is fine. You know, it wasn't the strongest breakout. And, you know, Lemonade coming back as well. So it does look like the market's puking a little bit right now. And you have to be aware of that happening potentially to BTU as well. Will it happen? It might not, you know. There are ways, you know, stores of value. Gold is one of them, which is definitely holding up as the market comes down. So there's opportunity, but it's not always the simplest to sniff out. Rocket Mortgage as well. We'll see how correlated this is. It's selling off at the same time. So we can jump into stories for these stocks, but you do have to think, can you get positioned in here? Pick a risk level, and then, you know, with the wins of the S&P behind you, you know, if we break into all-time highs, these will really be helpful. But if we don't, can you stop out quickly so you're in cash, and then as the market, if it does roll over here, everything's going to be fine. And a way to be aware and ready for that is to play gold. So gold does appear to be breaking out. I don't know if that's going to continue, but what you do see sometimes is, you know, gold being a safe haven. Of course, at a time when the market went up a ton, gold also went up a ton here. So, and at a time when gold sold off, it actually sold off a little bit after the market choppiness, but they're definitely a little connected as well. But you're not here for me to make things more complicated than they are. I do think this is a good idea, BTU right now. You do definitely have a flag shaping up, and this coal company is needed for the data center build out. And Rocket as well is strong after this recent earnings. So those are two ideas that could, you know, could go. It's not guaranteed, but that's why I have this idea as well, Baidu. And Q3 earnings have been a little bit hit or miss. If we look at some of the Mag 7 stocks, they've just cratered. Meta being maybe the worst example of that. Q3, not as bad as Q2 earnings, but still some of the stocks that struggled in Q2 earnings struggled in Q3 as well. So these earnings reactions actually are okay, even though they don't look anything special. You know, sideways choppy action followed by a move up. We'll see what happens, but I do think this is an okay earnings reaction for these two companies. I mean, Baidu slightly better, it did sell off, but pretty significant 15% reclaim following that. So those ones are in the mix for okay earnings reactions, just to reiterate that, even though, you know, they're not as smooth as a GM, you know, which is somehow the best earnings reaction for a company that no one has on their radar necessarily as being innovative. This is pretty incredible. This is 20%. The retail names as well having solid earnings reactions. The real luxury consignment doing super well. Urban Outfitters and Kohl's all in that category, as well as the ANF, AEO, TJ Maxx, all doing pretty well. So it's, you know, an indication of sentiment. It's not helpful in and of itself to see the retail names that have already gone, but what it does do is it sort of opens up our eyes to see what other names haven't really gone yet. And that's why Dollar Tree and Dollar General were on watch. I did mention Dollar General yesterday. It's having a good day today so far, even as the market comes down. And then some of these other retail names, Ulta Beauty, also in the conversation, holding up okay, not great. It does have to get over this level. So those are probably the most important two retail names to watch. In terms of other stocks that are just getting ready to go, could be getting ready to go, this metals name is definitely interesting. HBM, over this level and having some strength today. It's a little illiquid, but it does offer pretty clear risk levels off of, say, 18. Yeah, 18 I would say is probably a safe level, something like this. So risking 50 cents to make $5. And then the sister company for this Hudson Bay is this SCCO copper company, Southern Copper, which is breaking out right here. So might be a little late for this, but if it does fail, you can get a second entry. And you know, sometimes those failures fail and they really fail. You know, I'm thinking that PL, this space name, which is having earnings momentum as well as the SpaceX publicly listing and then momentum, could come back significantly. But there could also be a pullback in a stock I was just mentioning, Lemonade. You know, this is a pretty significant second pullback, which it's intraday, so you don't want to be, you know, wedded to looking at intraday charts, but it's definitely an indication things are a little bit choppy. And if you look at other opportunities in general, talked about the top of the watch list being memory names, SanDisk, Micron, and Western Digital. I think Seagate is good, but it's already sort of gone. This is kind of like 6 green days in a row. You know, Micron is kind of similar as well with earnings coming up. SanDisk is probably the best. It sold off here, and any shorts who are just holding to hold, you know, not holding to 0, but holding to 100 maybe, are definitely sweating right now as it builds out this flag. It was kind of expected that the market would sell off, and it hasn't really been the case. It's just held up. So SanDisk is definitely in the conversation, as is Ondas Holdings. Sometimes when a shelf forms like this, especially into resistance, you can see there's a lot of buying and selling over here right at this level. So it makes sense to have a little bit of a sell-off here. And then hold over this moving average is a good sign. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely an interesting time to buy. You know, right at this level is what we've got going on at $8, a little bit above that, but it's kind of a cheat setup rather than waiting for a breakout over 930. And you might say, well, I mean, this is really like getting in the details. Can we just zoom out? It's like we can, but you know, we're already up 100% almost from these earnings, from Q3 earnings, and this has been choppy. The market's been choppy, but right now it is offering like a significant pullback. This is almost, you know, over 12%. And so if you can get in on a cheat and then get 15% when before everybody else gets in, that could be a big opportunity. And the volume here is strong, talking over 100 million. So you can definitely put $1 million with a click of a button into this company. So that is Ondas Holdings. And then there's been some other shelves as well. This is my hesitation to get too excited about this shipping company, Zim, is when you just have failure. This doesn't look super exciting to buy, right? United Airlines, the best airline shaping up. It is coming up to an important level, but right now you kind of have to let this be after these 3 green days, in my opinion. Maybe it gives a little tight day here. Its chemical name looks pretty good. ALB, also near the top of the watch list. holding up after earnings. Relatively slow mover, but relatively easy as a result to find a risk level like 133. So that's in the conversation. CLS failing a little bit. So if anything, that helps this flag get built out. If we can get one more down day and one more up day, something like this, that'll definitely be, very helpful and interesting. Anything that can make this move look more like a frog, look more like a GCT. Well, down here, GCT is just another software name. What I really meant to say was a GSAT. That'll definitely be worth looking at in detail. There's other companies you can get on failures to the moving averages, but it's a fine line between catching a falling knife and looking for a left side peak to buy off of. TE is actually below that left side peak at this time, so that's kind of not interesting. Bloom Energy, maybe a little bit more buyable off of this level. $100 psychological level, and you did have a higher low, you had a failure, but on a broader scale you have a higher low here as well. So if this seems like total astrology, trust that it is slightly astrology, but the reality is that other people are doing this as well. So what happens is it becomes self-fulfilling astrology, if you want to call that. And if there is some movement up here, this sort of flag could build out, and this could get interesting. And of course, all the names we're looking at here are super high momentum names that do fall into the category of the big themes. This is mobile power for data centers. This ALB, I'm not quite sure how this fits into the theme, to be honest. This is the chemicals company. So in general, they're sort of in the data center or energy category, but some of them, maybe there's some rare earth. Okay, so this is some lithium, so this falls in the electric vehicle segment. Most of these, drones have the drone executive order. SanDisk, Sam Altman is buying up all of the memory. TE probably, it's electrical equipment. It's probably in the, data center bucket as well. Baidu in this conversation already. The real is in the retail bucket, which is doing well. So even though the whole GDP is mostly data centers, we're still having strength in certain sectors. Definitely not in fast casual food, but definitely in retail. The real is looking good. Ouster, kind of selling off, not super interesting. PL again, have to let that candle close. And crypto, even as Bitcoin has a little bit of a bounce, I don't know how exciting these crypto names really are. I know everyone gets excited about Tom Lee and BMNR, the Ethereum Treasury. But of course, if you're going to buy Ethereum, just buy Ethereum, ETHU. So China as well, Futu just making a shelf. There's nothing to do there. Macy's has some strength, another retail name. And I do think some of these little robot companies could squeeze. iRobot has had a ton of strength. It's hard to say whether this is a bankruptcy squeeze or just a momentum runner. You can't truly say that it has long-term potential because it was a $1 stock just about a week ago. So you can get excited about these, but just remember, they can come down as quick as they go up, and CYPH is evidence of that about a month ago. So that's in the conversation as well. Tesla holding up, or was holding up. If it can hold somewhere around 440, that would be great. After this big run, it wasn't really expected that it would just blast through all this buying and selling in here. It'd be great to build out a flag, but sooner rather than later is always better. TeraWolf holding in here. Looks like it needs to firm up a little bit and get tighter. Definitely had some failed breakouts, which are basically just FOMC yesterday, so I wouldn't look into that too much, but that's kind of the lay of the land right now. I mean, the battery names are rolling over a little bit. AMPX not doing so hot. QuantumScape probably the best of the bunch. Well, battery storage is always good. EOS as well, looking strong. So if you're willing to just sit in some of these flags, you know, there really have been some solid moves at the right moment. You can get 10% in a week and a half or so, which is pretty incredible. On a 10% position, that's a 1% gain in a week and a half. You get a few of those a month and you're up 4% a month, 60% compounded over the course of the year. Pretty incredible. But it's also not the easiest market in the world. I don't think anyone is saying that. Solar names are worth watching. TAN is the ETF you want to see hold up. And there are some other earnings reactions as well that are, I know, a little illiquid. 30 million bucks. You don't want to put more than 300K in a stock like this, but worth watching. Biotech as well has been strong. If you look at the pharma ETF, it's had a sell-off and then started to turn up. Healthcare as well. So those are getting interesting as well, although I don't know, you know, it's kind of a skippy, gappy stock, so I wouldn't get too excited about a stock that trades less than $30 million. It's also skippy. Metals as well, sort of cheat options as they sell off. You know, when they form these shelves, it's not super easy to buy. Hood, not super easy. So the story stocks, the hoods, the Palantirs, not making it easy for you. Nvidia being the main one. They're not exciting right now. They were exciting. They had huge runs. And then the whole SPY went sideways for a few months. So if you can kind of just get a gauge on market sentiment as a whole, and you know, you might be listening to a video like this and just saying, you know what, it seems like we're still in chop fest, and you wouldn't be wrong. So even though I'm giving you these ideas, you know, the BTU, the Baidu, I already forgot the third one. I know I already talked to you about it, but yeah, Rocket Mortgage. If none of those totally speak to you, it's okay just to sit on the sidelines. Not everyone's going to catch a GEV that took 4-5 months before it finally broke out. So it's totally cool to be a little bit more reserved. So if you like those ideas, BTU, Rocket Mortgage, ticker symbol RKT, and Baidu, ticker symbol BIDU, hit that like button for the YouTube algo. If you want a free course on how to find the next NVIDIA before it breaks out, it's actually called Without Gambling on Startups, but it's only 30 minutes. It's very concise. Hit that subscribe. That's free for subscribers in the YouTube post section. And if you want to ask questions and see live recordings on a daily basis, analysis, sort of figure out what's going on here, not just, oh, you know, there was a stock, you know, Sam mentioned it went up a lot. I'll talk about moving averages, talk about things like that at stockscommunity.com. So that is a 7-day trial available for $25. Will change your life somehow, could change your life for a very awesome, in an awesome direction. So take a look at that.
Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.